What's good, YouTube? It's me, your boy Squiddy, back again with another video. Yeah, I had the Dark World deck profile on my channel from the YCS Vegas 3v3. Ended up with a 7-2 record. Just picked up the deck a week before the YCS, actually not even, maybe like a couple of days. I didn't even have a chance to really test because I was in YCS Leon, just playing side events. So yeah, but anyways, I know a lot of you guys wanted to see some combos with the deck, or at least how it works. There's not really any set combos because the deck is not really linear by any means. It super depends on like what you draw, what the dangers hit, and so on and so forth, and the board that your opponent puts up if you're going second, for example. So I just put together some quick replays just in solo mode, given the chance that you actually go first with this deck and win the die roll. Obviously, being able to hand loop for 4 or 5 is super powerful. So I'm going to show you guys a replay on how you can actually loop 5. It does involve activating Silva twice and then also using Charge in the Dark World to revive the Ceruli to discard the last card out of your opponent's hand. So yeah, let's just go ahead and dive into that. First and foremost, we're just going to go to main phase here. Our hand is kind of like, it's decent, but there are no Dark Worlds. Charge is kind of a brick here, so it's kind of susceptible to a lot of hand traps, but that's okay. We're going to play as if they don't have any. We're going to go ahead and use the Albion first, just to thin deck, because we don't want to draw into this with the lure, right? So we're actually going to draw another copy of Danger, which is not good. Like, drawing multiple dangers is never really a good thing. You only really want one with like some Dark World names, so you can just fire them off immediately. Like, the chance of hitting another danger is quite high with this, and it doesn't really do anything. So let's just activate Allure, see if we can draw into some names. True, Dark World Archives and Silva, not the best. You'd really want to see more cards that actually allow you to search your deck, so things like Snow and then maybe the Rainbow. But we're going to banish Bigfoot because, again, as we mentioned, we don't really want a lot of dangers in our hand. And Bigfoot's one of the worst ones. Like, the bad dangers are the ones that don't do anything when they are discarded, so you kind of neg on them. So we're just going to get rid of that while we can from our hand. I know it's a level 8, but it's not really relevant. We do want to hit as many dangers as we can because that's how you lose, is just whiffing on the dangers. Okay, next we're going to set Dark World Archives because this could come up later. We don't really want to discard it. This is like a very powerful effect, allowing us to discard a card and draw 2. So it's like a semi-graceful charity in that sense. So we're just going to set it for now, and then we're actually going to use the effect of the worst danger first. So generally you should be doing this using the bad danger first when you open like a good danger and a bad danger, because you have less of a chance of actually whiffing on the bad danger the bigger your hand is. Whereas if I use Jackalope here, yeah, okay, if I discard Mothman, it doesn't really matter. I draw a card. But if I discard something else and then I draw a card, I'm down to 3 cards in hand. So Mothman just becomes a lot more worse. Well, I guess 4 because you draw a card. But you get what I'm saying. Like, Mothman just gets a lot worse the smaller your hand becomes. So if I discarded, like, if I use Jackalope here and I drew a card, I would be at 3 in hand. And then Mothman's just like a 33% chance to hit Mothman itself, as opposed to a 25% chance like we have now. So we're just going to take like the better odds and just use the worst danger. Go ahead and use Mouthman. Roll a die here on DB 1 to 4 from my left to right. 5 and 6 whiffing. Okay, we're going to hit the number 4, which I believe is a Jackalope here. So we're going to summon the Mothman. One thing to note is generally you should be summoning your dangers in the extra deck columns, because we do have a Akashic Magician to bounce it back. So in certain hands where you absolutely whiff and you require another way to discard, sometimes we just have to make the Akashic to bounce back the danger that's in that zone to try and use the effect again to keep playing. So just bear that in mind. Always summon things that you want to bounce back in your hand into these columns, because Akashic Magician does bounce things that it points to, and it happens to be an extra deck monster, which has to be summoned in that column. Okay, next we're gonna draw card destruction. Really broken card. I don't like, yeah, obviously like doing combo videos with card destruction is not really fair because it's just such an auto win card. But let's continue to play. So we're just gonna use the effect of Jackalope here, which is quite nice actually that we hit it, because we get to summon a level 4 extender for free from our deck. So we're gonna go ahead and summon the Dugaris so we can draw 2. It's nice that Jackalope can also summon level 8s as well, so you can actually go for the Giant Trainer play if you happen to summon a Bigfoot from deck while you have 2 other level 8 monsters. Discard 2 to draw 2 cards, and then, wow, now this is a lot. Yeah, it's not the best draws, but it's a lot better. So just to think really quick what we want to discard here. Generally, I would think that we probably, because we have card destruction, it makes it a lot easier. You don't really have to think as hard. So we're just going to discard the Silva here and bring it back. Silva is going to come back, and then we have the effect of we're gonna set the charge in the Dark World and then activate card destruction. In a real game, I might have just held this in hand and discarded it because we don't really need it, and it's the one less card to hit. But I'm gonna set it for the purpose of this video because we do need this to loop the fifth card with Ceruli. So I just want to show you guys how that exactly works. So we're gonna set it for now. Just gonna discard 2, draw 2, and we do get the effect of the Chupacabra. And then discarding Grapha is really nice here because it is actually a plus because we have Silva on the board, so we can just bounce it. So let's go ahead and use the effect of Chupacabra. We're gonna bring back the Jackalope. It doesn't really matter what we bring back because we've already used Daguerre's. I guess the level 4 might be a little better there, but it doesn't really matter. Bounce, summon Grapha, and then we're going to activate Archives. Because we control a Dark World monster, it allows us to actually use the first effect where you can discard a Dark World monster, and then Dark World monsters you control gain attack equal to the level times 100 of the card you discarded. And it can only be activated when we do control a Dark World monster because you have to control one in order to boost the attack in order to activate and resolve the effect. So gonna do that, activate the effect to discard the Ceruli, and then on a new chain, after this resolves and we gain 100 attack, we are going to activate the effect of Ceruli as Chainlink 1 and then Archives as Chainlink 2. It doesn't really matter, I guess just like chain blocking, like random ghost spell or whatever. So we're gonna do that. That gets summoned back. I'm just going to place it here in the spell and trap column instead of in my opponent's monster zone because in solo mode, when you do that, you lose control of the card permanently. And we are going to be playing around with it and bouncing it in hand. So we're going to activate Dark World Archives here, resolving it to discard Zephyros. Bear in mind that the second effect, you can actually discard any card from your hand. It does not have to be a Dark World card or a monster. So you can actually discard bricks like Lava Golem or happen to discard Zephyros like I did here, which extends our plays further. Drawing 2 cards, which is really, really nice here. It's almost like a Pot of Greed here because the discard didn't really matter. We're going to get it back. We're going to activate on the new chain the mandatory effect of Ceruli to discard the Silva. Silva's going to come back, and then we're going to loop the first 2 cards in our opponent's hand. And now we're just going to link off. So we're going to use Grapha as well as the Daguerre's here just to link off into a Akashic Magician here to bounce back the Ceruli that is actually in this zone up here in front of it. Just remember that Akashic has to require 2 monsters with the same type, so 2 fiends generally. We're using Grapha here, and then Daguerre's happens to be a fiend as well, which is really, really clutch. And Graph is a free send because we control a Dark World monster, so we can just revive it and bring Silva back to the hand. So it's like a free material, so to speak. Cash Magician on summon is going to bounce back Ceruli, and then we're going to activate the Genta that was freshly drawn, which is really, really nice here, so we can continue to play with Gates. Bounce back the Silva here, just summon out the Grapha, use the Gates. So remember, when you guys have Rainbow and Grapha, just try to link them off because they can always be brought back, so they're essentially free fodder. Banish the effect again to discard Ceruli, draw Grapha, and I think I actually forgot to trigger. Oh no, I didn't. Okay, never mind. That's in the other duel. But Ceruli effect, and then chain Genta is chain link 2 to bring back, and then we are going to summon the Ceruli back to our opponent's zone. Just remember to summon this always in the extra deck monster zones as well because of Akashic Magician being able to bounce it back. And then, so I think I forgot to use Ceruli here to discard the Silva. But the Silva is supposed to be discarded there, and they're actually supposed to loop 2 again. But it doesn't really matter. So this is what I mean with the deck. Like, you can misplay a bunch of times, but once you're playing and you're drawing like a billion cards, it does not matter what you do, because no matter what you do, as long as you loop your card, as long as you loop your opponent's hand for at least 4 cards, you're going to win the duel no matter what. You just put up like 1 or 2 negates. So making like small misplays, I was doing that all tournament long at YCS Vegas, and it didn't really matter because if I was going first and I was playing, I was still probably going to do some damage. So we're just going to do the same thing that we did previously. Just going to activate Gates here, starting to cycle the Turbo Gates, bring back Silva bounce back for Rainbow that we discarded. And then we're going to use the effect of Zephyros, bring back the Gates, take 400. Be careful not to use this close to time because you do take 400 damage. Activate the other Gates, banish the Genta, bring back Silva. Okay, Silva and Security Dragon. Okay, this is a cool play. I was thinking, this is one thing that you can do with Nightmare Unicorn is you can actually bounce back your own Gates so you can use it again. We did actually summon it to the wrong zone because Unicorn actually has another effect where you can draw a card when it's co-linked if you activate that effect. So I think I realized that, and then I rewinded. Going to use the Akashic Magician and the Zephyros instead to make the Nightmare Unicorn, so it's co-linked with Security Dragon, and then that will allow us to draw a card. So we're going to discard the Ceruli here and then bounce back the Gates. This is the only way to get the Ceruli into the grave. one of the only ways, because when it is discarded, it's a mandatory trigger to bring back to your opponent's field no matter what. So we kind of wanted to get in the grave here so we can use the effect of charge to revive it. And then when Cerulean is revived to our field, it still gets the effect that your opponent discards a card. So in this case, our actual opponent would be the one discarding the card. So we're just going to bounce that back, draw a card. Going to use the Genta that was drawn to add back the copy of Gates that we just shuffled back. Going to activate that again. And then we can use Charge to bring back the Ceruli to discard the last card. So I think earlier we forgot to discard the Silva, but technically it should have looped another 2 cards. So that's how you loop the 5th card. And then we're just going to keep playing just to, like, I don't know, for the fun of it, build a board. So you use 4 cards, make Saruja. You could just summon Appaloosa there as well, but I really wanted to get the Grapha Fusion on board because that's one that's like pseudo Omni Negate, so to speak. So we're just going to keep playing here, activate effect of Mothman, roll a die. Saruja has an effect to special summon a monster from hand, so guys, always remember that because that's really, really important for you to get Dark World monsters on the field so you can bounce them for an extra level 8. Gonna bounce these, the Silva that we summoned for the Genta. And we actually didn't, for the Rainbow rather, and we didn't normal summon yet, so we're just gonna do that on Genta. This deck is really funny because, like, you don't really need your normal summon for the plays, hence why Lava Golem is really playable. And then we're just going to overlay for Evil Storm Nightmare, which is really, really good against Cashier decks. Going to make Hope Harbinger shut down any powerful spell cards, things like Branded Fusion. And then we can use this to make the Muckracker. Muckracker is a really nice on-demand discard effect. It does lock you into Fiends, but it's like the only Link monster in the deck that really allows you to trigger your Dark World effects. And it's easily made by any 2 effect monsters. So you can even make it with Dangers just easily. So we're going to do that here so we can crack this Snow in order to get the Fusion spell and then gain access to the Grapha Fusion. So go ahead and do that. Revive the Genta, bounce it back for the Grapha because it's free, so why not? Use the effect of Dark World Ascension, discard Grapha, and then Silva comes back and we can bounce it for Grapha. So essentially the fusion materials were free fodder. We don't really play any other rank 8s, at least not in the iteration of the deck that I played for Vegas, so there's no point really doing anything with the Graphas. You can just chill them on field. Your opponent's top decking anyways, and there's basically nothing that they can do in order to get past this field. So yeah, that's about it for the first combo. And then I'll show you guys another combo really, really quickly because why not? So here is a similar hand. I don't know why I keep drawing this Charge of the Dark World brick, but this is not the strongest hand, but I'm going to show you guys how you can kind of convert like bad hands into hands where you can actually play. So we're going to start off again with Albion, just to deck thin, throw this back, draw a card, and the Mothman. And again, we did mention using the worst danger first because you have a less chance to whiff on it and actually hit itself. And then like charges in Brandon the High Spirits, we don't really want to set them because they don't really do anything. We've already kind of like a quick play spell, you can't really use it. And then charge is like useless, it's a brick. So why not just like try to draw more cards and minimize the chance of hitting Mothman itself. You're going to hit the charge, so that's fine. Just means we're not looping for 5, but we can still loop for 4 and put up a board. Gonna activate the effect of Brandon High Spirits now because we did draw a Rainbow, and I'd rather use this instead of chancing a discard with the other dangers. Discard that. We're gonna add the Albion, which we already used, unfortunately, so it cannot be used as an Upstart Goblin. But we get to crack that Rainbow in order to add a copy of Silva, so we can keep playing here with our other dangers in hand. Using the Jackalope here, it doesn't really matter in SC Jackalope. I think Jackalope's a little slightly worse, so we're just going to do that. If we do hit itself, it's nice that we can get another level 4 on body to make the Daenerys like we did in the previous play. So we actually hit the Silva here, which is pretty good. Bring back the Silva. We can immediately bounce it for Rainbow, and then continue to use Nessie to further our plays. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Nessie effect. Nessie is really nice because if you whip on it, you get another chance. Hit the Silva again, which is very optimal. Bring that back. Would suck if we get nibbed here, but sometimes your hands, you just can't really play around it. So, yeah, we're just going to pretend they don't have it for now. But most times, like, nib doesn't really matter because you do have, like, Rainbow and you're bouncing cards, so the card advantage doesn't matter as much, and you haven't really used your normal summon, so a lot of times you can still continue to play. But it really depends on the circumstances, depends on your hand. I'm just going to get rid of these 2 monsters. It's a free Rainbow, again, because we have a Silva on board, so we can just use that as material, just bounce that back, summon back Rainbow. Bear in mind that Muckracker can't be used as Link material to turn its Link summon, so just remember that, guys. Now we're going to use the effect of Mothman just to see what we can hit so we can further our plays. It's level 4. We're really nice to make Daenerys. Hit Ascension, which is one of the best cards that we could have hit in that hand. Activate the effect of Lure. We have a free Albion that we can banish here. It's not really doing anything, so we'll go ahead and banish that. And you have a plethora of plays here. You can do a lot of different things. You can make Saruja. You can, I think probably best to make Daenerys just to get that free Pot of Greed, draw 2 cards, and then trigger the Shirley that we have in the draw. So we're gonna discard the Cerulean, bring back to our opponent's board. I actually made the mistake in this replay of bringing it back to their board, so I can't really bounce it back. But that's all right. You guys can kind of get the gist of what's happening. Silva's gonna use the effect, the loop 2, so they're at 3 in hand now, and then we're gonna use the free material again, Rainbow. We can bounce, and then also Daguerre's, which is a fiend. So 2 fiends can. I guess we're making Security Dragon, so it doesn't really matter. Security Dragon's gonna bounce back that Cerulean. And oh yeah, we drew card destruction again somehow, which is really broken. We're gonna pretend we have Cerulean bounce back in our hand with the effect of Security Dragon. I couldn't really do anything because it's on our opponent's board, and in solo mode you can't bounce it back. We're gonna bounce back the Silva with the Rainbow, and now we have 5 cards in hand. So we're gonna activate the effect of Genta just to add the Gates of Dark World, and then we can use Gates of Dark World, banish Genta, and then discard the Cerulean that's pretend to be in our hand, and then draw a card. And then Cerulean effect will activate. I forgot to change Genta, but again, like guys, it doesn't matter if you misplay at this point because you're already so far ahead that you're gonna win no matter what, basically. So it doesn't matter if you're misplaying a bajillion times, like I was in the tournament and I am now apparently. Silva's gonna come back with the effect of Cerulean, so we're gonna loop another 2 cards. And in this case, I guess charge is already gone, so we can't loop the 5th card, but that's all right. We can just keep this early on their table because Cash Hero, they can't do anything when they control a monster. So we're always assuming they're playing Cash Hero, obviously, because it's the best deck in the format. Just going to go ahead and make a 3 material Appaloosa, and then we can bounce back the Silva for a Rainbow. And like, there's really not a lot that the opponent can do in this case. We're just gonna activate card destruction, but we didn't really need to. I think we could have just like still used Muckracker and built up like a decent sizable board anyways. So it didn't really matter that we had to use the card destruction there. Silva and then Nessie. Nessie's gonna add Chupacabra. Bring back the Silva. I guess I forgot. It doesn't really matter at this point. Discard the Snow, draw Rainbow. Snow effect's gonna, and then change Enta that I forgot earlier, but I remember now, which is nice. Add Grapha because we want access to Grapha for the Ascension that we have in the graveyard, so we can go into the Fusion. Or rather not, maybe add Snow first because we do have another copy of Gates. So again, like if you're turboing, like you want to draw cards first, just search another copy of Snow because we have another copy of Gates. Snow can search itself, which is absolutely nuts. So you're really just drawing a free card, seeing what you draw, so you can use Snow to search for the missing piece after you make the draws off your Gates. So that is a completely valid play, guys. You're going to banish the Masquerade, which is a fiend, discard the Snow, draw a card. Snow effect is going to add the copy of Grapha that we originally wanted to search. Allure for the heck of it, because why not? Allure again for the heck of it. And then we're going to activate the effective Ascension to bounce it back to the hand, and we can actually discard the Silva. Silva's going to come back. We can activate Ascension, discard the Grapha, and then banish any dark monster from the graveyard, because you can banish, and then summon out the Grapha Dragon Overlord, which requires Grapha and 1 dark monster. And then we can bounce back the Silva, summon back the Grapha, use the overlay to make Hope Harbinger, and then I guess might as well just use Chupacabra. I mean, we've already basically won the game. Opponent has 1 card in hand. We're just going to make a Nightmare just to make sure they're extra dead. So they're drawing to 2 cards in hand. They have a Cerulean on the table. If they're playing Cash Tier, they cannot do anything. If they're playing like a Branded Fusion deck, we have Hope Harbinger, we have Appaloosa, and we have Evil Storm Nightmare. And on top of that, icing on the cake, we have Grapha Dragon Overlord to negate anything. So yeah, that's a really quick couple of videos to show you guys like the sheer power of this deck if you're going first and you're playing unimpeded. I know I did misplay a bunch in these too, but again, it's just to show you guys like once you're drawing and you're turboing through this deck and you're drawing a bunch of cards and you're already being able to play, it does not matter if you're misplaying as long as you're able to loop 4 cards and then put up anything. Even just a Grapha, a naked Grapha is probably enough half the time, because when this negates, it actually changes it so you discard with the effect of your opponent's card, so you can continue to loop them with Silva on their turn as well. So just cool things to note. If you guys like this, rate, comment, subscribe. If you guys want to see more replays or combos against actual matches, maybe I can record some as well. But let me know if you guys have any suggestions on how I can improve this deck and any cool clutch plays that you guys have in your mind. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.